Mike, whenever you're set.
Good to go.
Okay, great. So, thank you. So this is the Willington Economic Development Commission meeting. Thank you for attending. We've got Matt Clark, Mike DeMeda, John Giskowski, and Bill Rankin attending, and I'm Richard Maloney.
You have me too.
Oh, I didn't see you, Sam. Oh, hi, Sam.
I came.
That's awesome. Good.
All right.
Thank you for coming. So that's the call to order. The first order of business tonight is public participation. Mike, do we have anybody on the call?
Excuse me, Rick. Cheryl's here as well. Cheryl Mitchell is also here. She's said she doesn't have audio right now.
Okay, great. Wow, we have the entire commission. That's great. Good to see you, Cheryl. I don't see you, but I believe you're there. Okay, thanks, Sam. Yeah, Mike, why don't we open it up to the public?
Sure. People should be able to unmute themselves if they
Great, sounds good.
Hi, my name is Nicholas Tella, 49 Myrtle. Just want to start. Can everybody hear me? Okay.
Yep, sound good, Nick.
Awesome. So before this meeting started, I heard a member, which goes into my comments here. So our member attending started by saying they have spotty service before everything started. So that kind of goes into my first point here. I want to start off by saying this committee has taken the right away from people that want to participate that do not have good internet service. I understand Erica has concern with making it harder for people to attend meetings based off of what was said at the BOS meeting. We should look into making it easier for residents instead of doing what makes it easy for the board. So, you know, Erica wanted to make it where people can see, and I agree with her. I want to make mention that I and others that I have talked to have concerns with the conflict of interest with members on this committee. You have Mike acting as a contracted zoning agent for the town. He has the ability to influence, recommend, and enforce zoning regulation. He also is part of the EDC along with his business partner from Taipei. And correct me if I'm saying it wrong.
Well,
the conflict is
we're not members of the EDC. We are staff to EDC.
Yeah, well, either way, you're part of the EDC. So the conflict.
I'll correct you again. We are staff to EDC. We do not vote.
This is public to speak, so let the public speak. And then
Well, he asked me to correct him.
No, on the name. So you are associated with the EDC. So the conflict is clear to everyone. I have mentioned this too. Say hypothetically, a business comes into the EDC, says, "Hey, we want to come here, but the zoning won't allow us to go where we want." You now have Mike, whom is associated with this committee, that can put his zoning hat on to make things work, to make for said company to come here. Kind of like Mike being part of the SDZ change coming about. And then somehow a 1.5 million square foot application shows up. I also have issue with having two members from the same company sitting on the board. Is this an EDC board, or are we trying to call this the Taipei Planning and Policy Board? Why would a planning and policy company want to have people, multiple people on the EDC? It makes you wonder at the very least. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicholas. Yeah, I think that we want to meet in person if we can. I think you know, it's a great comment, and I think that we should try to do that. So once the summer is over, let's see if we can actually meet in person. Good idea. Second comment. Yeah, I mean, many small towns throughout Connecticut use planning and economic development kind of with the same types of staff. I mean, Mike or John can't vote, you know, and they can't really participate, you know, in the voting and in the discussion. So, you know, as I say, many towns do this. Okay, Mike, anybody else?
I don't see anybody with their hand up. I don't know if anybody else wants to unmute themselves. It looks like Erica is the only one.
Hi, Erica, go right ahead.
Hi, Rick. Thank you so much. So I know Mr. Tella made some comments. I want to speak for myself. I have said at Board of Selectmen meetings that I would like to see our boards and commissions meet in public. I think in order for a hybrid meeting to work successfully, the commission needs to be in public. So I just wanted you to hear those comments accurately from me. The board still has the authority to make its own decisions on how its meeting is set. That is set in state statute. So my only comments are that I would like to see as many boards meet in person. But again, in order for that hybrid to work, I think it's best for a commission to meet in person. But again, your commission has the actual authority to determine when your boards and commissions meet and the manner in which they meet. And by statute, you have the ability to meet hybrid, fully hybrid, fully remote, or in person, fully remote, or hybrid. And so I want to be clear that you are not taking away anyone's rights by holding your meeting fully remote. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Erica. And, you know, I mean, we would like to meet probably hybrid where we can, you know, be in person and have those members that don't want to be in person, you know, not be there and protect themselves if they wish. Great, thank you. Looks like we have Jen.
Economic development.
Is she unmuted, Mike?
She is not.
Okay.
I don't see anybody else.
Well, I would like to say that the only reason my service is spotty is because I'm on vacation and I'm attending from vacation to Mr. Tella. Otherwise, my service is typically fine.
Thanks, Sam. Yeah, I mean, going
yeah.
forward, you know, it would be good if we could, you know, in general, meet in person. That'd be great. You know, we would like to do that in the fall. Yeah.
Yeah, when we voted the other day, there was members of the public that said that they're not able to attend other just meetings in general because of bad service. So residents do have this issue. So
Thanks, Nick. All right. So hearing no other public members available to speak, we'll go right into the meeting. Anybody else, Mike?
I think Ralph has his hand up.
Ralph,
Good evening, everyone. Ralph Tillis, 47 Village Hill Road.
Hi, Ralph.
How are you all? Quick question regarding the minutes. I see you're looking at the minutes of June 8th, but they are not yet posted to the town website so that none of us have the ability to see the minutes from that meeting.
Yes, that's right. That's my fault, Ralph. I'll get them up.
Okay, that's all.
Thank you. Anyone else, Mike?
Not that I can see.
Okay, great. Thank you. So the June 8th minutes, I haven't prepared them. I will get them to you end of the week so we can post them. Okay, number one, we have on our agenda the development and project update. I know Bill wanted to talk a little bit about development update. Bill, why don't you go right ahead?
Well, talking about the NECR rail, Desiato property, there is the NECR has come back to us and said there's an active commercial interest. A company called Neil Jones Food. It's a private corporation. They're located in Vancouver, Washington. They're known for the distribution of freshly packed Pacific Northwest fruit and California tomatoes. Again, this is a conversation that's going on between the railroad and a rail shipper. They are presently located at a distribution center, a third-party logistics center in Reedville, Mass. And they've outgrown, not today, this would be a project that's a couple of years out. And they're interested in owning their own facility. It would be a what I call a big box, privately owned distributor of their own product. So we're starting to get a little interest on from the railroad in marketing that site. So this is good stuff.
Thanks, Bill. That's great. Yeah, good news. Is there anything that the commission needs to do or any referrals we need that you can think of?
Right now, I would allow the railroad to, because a lot of these conversations happen during commercial efforts. Actually, Neil Jones approached the Genesee and Wyoming group that owns the New England Central Railroad, advising that their present facility over in Reedville has not meeting their expectations for where their growth will be over the next couple of years. And they're looking to make an investment out here. This is going on with a lot of widget manufacturers, so to speak, whether retail or commercial, raw materials or finished goods, because of the truck capacity issues and the amount of people who don't want to drive trucks, the cost associated with. There's a lot of traffic shifting over to rail. It has to fit the rail mode. And I think let's just see how those talks work out before we get involved. How's that sound?
I think that's great. Thank you. Any questions for Bill or any additional discussion on development and project update? Okay, LoSiP, Mike, I know you were looking to get an engineer to go down there and take a look at the sidewalks. Were you successful doing that? And what's the status on the LoSiP grant?
Yep. So we are in progress with survey and design. So once those activities are complete, the plans will need to be submitted to CROG and DOT for review. We will go through a review process and they'll comment. And basically, once they approve the drawings and the design, the town then has access to the funds to actually bid the construction, if you will. So the expectation is that we will have a final set of drawings prepared and submitted by August, around Thanksgiving. So DOT will have the plans within 8 weeks or so. And then we'll go through that review process with them and hopefully track to be able to bid out over the winter and construct in the spring, assuming we don't have another global pandemic or lack of materials or any of the other things that have come up. But we're moving forward pretty quickly now.
Thank you for pursuing that. That's great. I know it's difficult to get materials and small project engineering done. Thanks for that work, Mike. Any questions for myself or Mike on the LoSiP grants? Okay, ARPA application review. Take it away, either John or Mike.
Sure. So we have closed the application period for the ARPA grants. You'll recall that the ARPA committee set aside up to $300,000 for local businesses and nonprofits for recovery and resilience preparedness from obviously the effects of COVID. We received 19 applications requesting a total of just under $225,000. Of those, some of the criteria were you needed to be a legitimate Willington business in good standing. 3 of the submissions were from organizations that did not were not current with the Secretary of State and therefore not considered current Willington businesses in good standing. So taking those 3 out, there's about $200,000 worth of request. Of those, of the remaining 16, 14 in my, and in our analysis met the criteria of demonstrating that they were negatively impacted by COVID and had a proposal to use the funds to recover or prepare for future events. There were 2 additional applications that we need a little bit more information. The narrative wasn't particularly specific. And so instead of disqualifying them, we're going to reach out to them to get a little bit more information. But we're, all things, fingers crossed that we can get the additional information from those. We'd be looking at proposing to distribute about $200,000 in relief and resilience funds. Would ask just a little bit more time to follow up with those folks, as well as prepare a legal agreement for the distribution of funds that would state essentially, you are pledging to use these funds in the manner you represented on the application process, and should you, instead blow it in Vegas, we have the right to, claw back that money. But some very, very simple legal language that would allow us to proceed.
Great, thank you, John. Do you need a motion from the commission, John, or what are your thoughts?
I think again, because it's actually the ARPA committee that would distribute these funds. I would basically, maybe a recommendation or a resolution from EDC to proceed with the finalizing of due diligence on the awardees. And recommend that the ARPA Commission proceed with distribution based on an approved letter of agreement.
Okay, why don't we make a motion?
Matt's got a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Matt. Yeah.
I had a couple questions. The first one is, so 2 people needed more info. Their application wasn't sufficient for you to judge whether or not it was approvable.
That's right. I think, and just to be fair, the narrative was a little bit vague, and I think there was enough information that indicated there could be some reasonable nexus, but there just wasn't enough information.
Got it. So that's 2, and that would make, if they don't pass, it'd be 17. If they do pass, it'd be 19, right?
No, it would. There were 19 total applications. 3 I'm considering disqualified because they're not current businesses in good standing. Or there was one that's actually registered in Mansfield, not in Willington. So that leaves us a pool of 16 eligible. Of those, 14, I think, completed their applications fully. The other 2 of the 16 need a little bit more information.
So let me see if I understand. We have 19 applications.
Mm-hmm.
3 of them you don't want to award.
Well, they're not businesses in good standing. So
hold on a second. 2 of them you don't want to award. 3 of them you don't want to award, and 2 you need more info. Is that fair?
that is correct.
Right. So the 3 that aren't in good standing, I don't remember us discussing having these people being registered with the state of Connecticut. Is there a law or regulation, a stipulation, anything like that that says that businesses that are—
It was in our eligibility criteria.
We did discuss that, Matt.
Okay. That was in the eligibility criteria?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, we did then. And we're sure
And can I,
they didn't misstate their name or misspell it or something like that.
I looked those up in as many ways as I could, and they're supposed to give their business identification number, their official business name, the principal of the business. I checked all of those avenues.
Terrific. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Matt, well, we got you on the
Rick.
hook. Do you want to make a motion?
I don't know how to make a motion. So we're making a motion to submit the either the 16 or I can't remember exactly how many.
I would say up
16.
to
14.
16.
Up
Yeah.
to 16. So we're making a motion to submit up to 16 applications to the Arpa committee to vote on as a group for awarding the contracts that they that they approved already once, or that they indicated they would fund.
So we've already got the money.
Can I comment
Matt.
here, Rick?
Yeah,
please?
well, I wanted to get a motion on the floor before
Well,
we
the
kind
motion
of discussed it.
is,
Yep.
they're not
Samantha?
gonna re-vote.
Yeah.
That's why I'm just wanna,
Correct, that's right. Yeah,
I wanna like say something about that motion that he
yeah,
made.
Matt didn't realize that we actually have the money in hand. We don't have to go back to the ARPA committee.
We
I
have the
kind of,
money as promised. We don't have to vote on each individual thing. They gave us that discretion.
Okay.
But we're going
Right.
to submit these to, I think, follow the process, which is submitting them to whoever's doing the accounting with them, and then they will cut those checks.
For the release of funds, right? Thank you, Sam.
yeah, it was just
And that
unfair.
will be
of
for
you-
a minimum of 14 until we get the further information on the two.
I'm sorry, I kind of put Matt in a difficult position. I apologize for that. Let me back up. Okay, so let's figure out a motion here. So we'll approve the 14, and then we'll give Mike and John the ability to go ahead and approve the other two, conditional upon them completing the application.
Okay.
Does that sound okay?
That sounds okay.
Okay. So is that a motion?
That's a motion.
Let's have a second.
I second that.
Thank you, Sam. Okay, let's discuss. Anything further?
Well, I would like to say something on what you had mentioned, John, which was having them write a letter or sign a letter saying that we would come after the fund, because that was a huge part of our discussion going into this, was that we're not an auditing agency, and that if for any reason we feel that somebody has misused the funds, that they're going to be reported directly to the IRS. That was something we talked about quite at length.
Can I
I
just,
can't hear you.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Mike.
so yeah, the structure of this is going to be modeled after the way that other communities which have done the same thing have done this. And essentially the agreement is put together, making it clear that basically we're making this determination based upon the information they submitted as part of the application. And because the town is not an auditing agency, if there are any issues, that responsibility falls upon the business. And that we're basically a pass-through agency. This is how the other towns in Connecticut that I'm aware of that have successfully appropriated funds, gone through the application process, and actually dispersed money, that they're through the process, have done it. And they basically place that responsibility on the recipient.
So I'm sorry, Sam, I probably then misstated that. That we would, the agreement would say that the town is not responsible for the misrepresentation of the applicant.
Sounds perfect. I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank
And
you.
then while we're discussing this as well, and I know the public is present, I want to make clear that the rules that that they have come up with, the criterion that we then brought to ARPA and that they're enacting, were all decided by the EDC and voted on by the EDC. And they're just acting as agents for what we had decided, because we are volunteers and we don't have the time to necessarily do that. So we've contracted them to enact what we decided.
Right, thank you, Sam. Any further discussion? All right, let's vote. All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we have another pool of money also that will be left over after these business grants are submitted and paid out. Anybody have any thoughts on what to do with the additional money? Should we send it back to the committee, back to the ARPA committee? Should we send it back there and then make a recommendation for, we could do a couple of things. We could have another round of funding. We could create, I had an idea about the South Willington Village District. We need some additional work done down there, some engineering and studying. Could we use that money to do that kind of work? So I would leave it up to the commission to discuss. Any ideas?
Is there any expiration date with regards to when this is supposed to be done?
Yeah, the application has closed, Bill. There's no expiration of when we should send the money back to the ARPA commission. So we could
Well,
sit
ARPA,
on it, I
Like
guess.
4 years, it's like
Yeah.
4 years.
4 years, yeah.
I didn't realize it was
Any-
4 years because I thought it all had to be appropriated by a certain time. And unfortunately, I should know that, but I don't know it off the top of my head, and I'm sorry for that.
It's 2024.
Okay.
So
But it has to be, but I believe it has to be appropriated before that. And
Right.
then it has to be spent by that time. So one thing, being the person who was representing us to ARPA, I know that the whole idea of us just using, let's say we have appropriated 200,000 to these 14 to 16 businesses. We can't just decide that we want to spend 100,000 on something else. It's up to that amount. So we would be able to make a recommendation. We would be able to file a new request with ARPA, but we can't just have it and do what we want with
right,
it.
right. No,
Shucks, but we can't.
we have to make, we'd have to make another request to
Yes.
the ARPA commission. So why don't we send the money back, and then we can think through a little bit more about what we might want to do with those extra funds, and we can make another request.
So something to think about.
Yeah, Matt, go ahead.
So something to think about might be, again, a very small amount of money. I had an idea, but teaching entrepreneurship in our schools is a good idea, even at the young age that we have. And funding a small program to sort of encourage entrepreneurship would be in the umbrella of economic development of our town and our townspeople. It's just a thought, something that we should consider.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Can I speak
I
on
like
that?
it. Yeah, go ahead, Sam. Yeah.
It's a good idea, but Matt, I don't think it falls under, something that's COVID related or responsive to COVID. It would be difficult to get that in those. There's like 5 major groups of criterion, and that just doesn't really fall under one of them, in my opinion. One thing that we had discussed in the past was something to do with the water, being able to, because I think that the reason waterways were on there is because, COVID has passed through through sewage. Honestly, it can pass. So for some reason, infrastructure to water and better waterways was one of the issues. And I think that we had discussed that, but I don't think that money would get us there.
I have another
No,
I
that-
also, and I would like, let me just say one more thing, please, and then I'll be done, which is, you had mentioned, Rick, possibly doing a second round, and I would not be opposed to doing a second round if anyone else was into it, only because maybe enough people didn't know about it or hear about it, and we have so many more members of the public here now, because of what else is going on, but maybe that'll help to expand the interest in the small business grants. Thank you.
Thanks, Sam. Yeah, John, you had a comment?
No, I would just relative to Sam's water and wastewater comment, that was one of the ARPA priority funding things nationwide, not in Willington necessarily, but consulting and engineering design are also allowable expenditures. And while $100,000 wouldn't necessarily build you much of a water line or much of a sewer line, it could certainly design something and get it shovel ready for another round of funding if that was of interest. But to focus on that.
Okay, great. Why don't we table it, not send it back? Because, maybe we do another round, or maybe we do make a series of recommendations. So I would say that we table it. Go ahead, Matt. What's up?
I had forgotten that there's stipulations. We spend that money on tons and tons of different things. So the other idea that I had was not so much wastewater or water, but rural broadband accessibility. I mean, we have people in areas of our town that have no broadband, and that was an approved function or use of ARPA funds. And one of the things that companies look at when looking to relocate to an area is the internet service, and ours is. I'm not an expert, but it appears that we're not up to where other communities are.
I know there was some funding earmarked for broadband expansion. I don't know if it was state money or federal money, but yeah, I think that's worthy of an agenda item for the next meeting. Talk through that a little bit more.
Yeah, Rick, the state is actually undergoing a statewide sort of broadband access survey, broadband speed survey, and there's actually a municipal individual survey that people can fill out through the CCM to actually check their local internet speeds, and the state is hoping to get a map of sort of the dead zones, but that's ongoing right now.
Great. So I'll take a look at that. Maybe we can share that on our Facebook page over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, we'll share that with you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Rick, can I just comment on something? Yes, I think that would be a great idea to share that on Facebook because it's coming from another thing. I want to, CCM is Connecticut, Conference of Municipalities? That was called CC.
Yes.
Okay. And the broadband, to Matt's point, we did discuss that in ARPA. It was almost something like we had brought it up and then it really just kind of got put to the side right away simply because it's so expensive. But again, it could be something where we're doing some type of spec on it or something like that, like what John was mentioning, where we're just like getting information. What John was saying, we could get information and planning and do some kind of planning and reporting on the water situation. It could assist in that, but I don't think that with what's remaining from the 1.7 million for the ARPA that we're possibly going to be able to, get broadband and get internet for everybody in Willington.
So Sam, you're our representative to ARPA. I'm just curious, what is the status of the spending of the ARPA funds? Is it all expended?
Unfortunately, Matt, being away, I've been away since June and I haven't been to meetings in a while. And I should have really asked Cheryl if she wanted to go in as the alternate because
No problem.
I said I wanted to resign, but they were like, no, you don't resign. So I didn't, but at last I remember, I think it's like at least 2/3 of the way spent, a lot of it.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if, yeah, sorry about that. I can find out from Christina, who's the chairperson, and then, or just look at the emails because she sends these very, very involved emails, and I'll get back to the commission with that information later.
Okay, I should be reading the minutes. Okay, thanks, appreciate it.
Okay, great. So we've got a couple of different options. We can have another round of funding, for that additional $100,000, or we can send the money back to ARPA and we can come up with a couple of recommendations for how we would like to spend that money. So we will put that on the agenda for the next meeting.
Just to review, it was a total of 300,000 and a max of 15 per applicant, if I remember correctly. Is that still the case?
Yes, Bill, that's right.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments before we leave this subject? Okay, hearing none. Let's move on. Signage. I know Matt's been working on some signage and go for it. What's going on?
I made a couple calls, so now I'm up to 3 places that can do that kind of work that listed on the website. I talked to 2, and I think what I'd like to do is ask for proposals or at least some kind of a picture or something. I need to have something tangible. We talked about doing a survey, but I'm not quite sure what use that's going to be. I would much rather, I think, ask or take a proposal or idea, with pictures and ask people what they think, such as Erica, such as our board, and maybe some other folks, and put it up on the, sort of a little outreach and just saying, here's what we're thinking about. Do you have any comments? Instead of yes, no, or which one do you want, or, anything like that. Just what are your comments?
Would you want to see some proposals, Matt? would you want to open it up and say, okay, townspeople, can you tell us what you would like a Willington sign to look like?
Yeah, here's several ideas. What are your thoughts on it?
Okay,
And then, you know, I can look at that and boil it down and say, hey, people want it really big, or they want it brown, or they want it, you know, to list, you know, these different, you know, things on it. But
right.
have something to go on, you know?
Do you have any mock-ups or drafts now?
No. The only thing I have,
Okay.
what was provided by one of the suppliers, and it's a sign from actually Bolton. I think it was Bolton. It might have been Columbia.
All right, I think we can work on a request. That sounds good.
Oh,
All right, any additional comments on signage? Okay, before we get to reports and correspondence, I had just one little note that we have 3 alternate members vacant for the commission. So I would encourage people from the town to come and apply for these 3 open seats on economic development. There's plenty of work to be done, plenty of heavy lifting. We'd love to see, you know, some different viewpoints and ideas. So 3 alternate members for Economic Development Commission. Okay, Mike or John, reports and correspondence.
I have no additional reports or correspondence at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, John. Mike is gone.
Mike had to bounce, sorry.
Okay, sounds good. Anything else from commission members? Cheryl, anything? I haven't heard from you.
I'm good, Rick. Just taking all the notes down for the minutes.
Thank you for all your help.
Oh, you're welcome. No thanks are necessary. You know that.
Anybody else?
Yeah, Rick, under the agenda for development projects, I didn't want to throw something in there that is not currently a development project, but I'd like to add it to the list, and that would be what the EDC's role will be in the I-84 distribution center concept. I had the opportunity to listen to 2 of the presentations. One was made by the development company and the other one was made by the development company to the Planning and Zoning Commission. So that's why I would like to add it as a development project and solicit kind of thoughts from everybody on what our role should be or could be with regards to this.
Well, that'll give a lot of people some, you know, some time to think about it and craft some thoughts. You know, we don't have any actionable items for that project. You know, we weren't really, nobody that I know of on the commission has talked to the developers or had any real communication with them. And there's nothing that we can really take an action on for this project. What were your thoughts, Bill?
Well, I mean,
We can put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
yeah, I mean, that'd be
We'll
great.
do that. Yeah. Give you some time to think it through and see what you would propose.
I'm there. The mission statement that we have as the Willington Economic Development Group, which was formulated many years before we all joined it, but I'm sure it's what the town put together. And it reads, to promote development that provides goods and services, employment opportunities, and tax revenues compatible with the community's character and the vision for their future. The EDC will accomplish this by striving to create an inviting business climate and assisting new businesses interested in locating to the town. So I think we have a mandate there to understand what this application is about, what the project is, how it will affect the community's character, and see if we can assist a new business in their interest if it indeed meets that criteria. So I think we need to get ahead of that. And I'm not sure if we meet with the developers or if we meet with the other business departments within the town, namely the budget committee, the finance committee, I should say, and the selectmen come to mind right now. But I think part of understanding the mandate of the EDC and seeing that these applicants have had 2 meetings in town, I think as the EDC, we should get involved.
Any comments from the commission?
Well, Bill, I mean, I don't know if we should get involved because it is development, but the first part of the mandate states, that we should be promoting development, tax revenue, et cetera, et cetera. But the second part is those that fit with the character of the town. And
Sam, would you say that again and slow down a little bit?
oh, sorry. The second portion of that is whether it fits with the, can you read the second portion that you read was whether it fits with the character of the town, is good for the community. And I mean, I haven't talked to every community member, and obviously squeaky wheel gets the grease, so the people that are vocal about it do not feel that it fits with the character, of the town. So they need a voice. We're not elected as well, so we're not there to necessarily represent those people. But I mean, I feel personally that we should, but I'm saying that we're not elected by them. And I just think that if I were to get involved, I would get involved in a way of saying, like, I do not want that business to come, because that's my opinion. It sounds like you might be thinking it's a good thing. So then it would be hard for us as a commission to decide what our direction would be. And I feel that we need to hear from the community, and the community's voice can't be represented here as well as it can be with planning and zoning about whether they okay it as the special zoning. So I almost feel that that's where the place where the community can be heard, and that we would want to hang back, wait for planning and zoning to make their decision. And obviously, if they make the decision that it's going in, then at that point, we would have to be polite and do our job of onboarding these people.
I think those are really good comments. Just a couple of thoughts that I had is, it always has to be within the keeping of the plan of conservation and development, which is just such an important overriding document that's developed by the town. And then second, this is a 2-step process. I mean, you've got a zone change that's occurring now, in a residential property that probably shouldn't be residential and will require a zone change for a business to go in there. That's the first step. The second step is then the applicant has to decide for themselves whether they're going to make application for a special permit. Now, that zone change that occurs, the Planning and Zoning Commission has all the power in the world to, make that project smaller, make the project traffic compliant. They can do almost anything that they want to do with that special permit. So they're really empowered to make many, many changes to that project if they wish. And Matt, you had a comment.
No, that was a good comment, Rick. And my only thought was, as the Economic Development Commission, we're the upfront part that sort of like makes Willington a place where businesses want to locate, and helping to structure our town so that it's an attractive place, and making it easy for people to do business here. I'm not so much sure that we are really in the thick of the regulatory, apparatus that actually sees these things through to completion. So that was my only comment.
Yeah, I think that's a good thought. Thank you for that. Anybody else?
Yeah, to respond to
Yes.
Sam's comments. I think our role is not to make a decision. Our role is, as the EDC, is to gather the information and assure that it meets the criteria of the town from the standpoint of the character and the flavor and what the town's about, but also understand what an opportunity like this can represent to the town, and bring in and get involved with pro forma budgets going out with regards to tax revenue and spending operating budgets, so the Board of Finance would have to get involved, and do a pro forma on the next 5 to 15 years of tax revenue versus proposed budget and what we're going to spend. I mean, I just paid my July taxes and didn't understand that the mill rate was going up 4.2% this year. So I think as a town, we need to sit down and figure out what that budget will look like in 5 to 15 years and the revenue base that we have, and make sure that all those interests, including the character and the flavor of the town and the financial situation of the town, are addressed, and present that as part of our role and why this is or is not a good project.
Thank you, Bill. Samantha, did you have a comment or?
No, I don't have one.
Okay, so.
Shocking.
No, I don't think it's shocking. So, you know, I'm not sure that we have a consensus on the board, on the commission to do anything at the moment. I mean, I'd like to see whether planning and zoning is going to move the project forward. But, you know, Matt had an interesting comment about the environment for businesses to come to town. You know, Willington has changed a lot in the last 5 years. Suddenly the crumbling foundation crisis is largely behind us. Most of those homes are now back on the tax rolls. You have residents that have gone through this personal tragedy and have actually, you know, rebuilt their foundations and are occupying their homes again and paying taxes. I mean, it's just, it's a great thing to see what's happened in town. I think we've got a lot of momentum. We've got a lot of businesses that are very interested in coming to town, and it's one little thing after another. So certainly we've done our job, and we have a big development company coming at us and requiring the town then to do their due diligence and see if it fits within the character and the nature of what we want to do here in town. So those discussions are going to happen at planning and zoning. And I think, you know, we can keep this on our agenda and continue to be transparent, open, and discuss it and see if there's a role for us going forward. Okay, anything else from the commission members? Around the horn. Matt?
Well, no, that was just me. No, that was just...
All right, Bill?
All set.
Thank you. Samantha? Thank you for
All set.
attending. Okay, thank you, Cheryl. That'll be it. John, do you have anything extra?
I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay, good. So that'll be the commission meeting. Thank you very much. Motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
And
I
see
second.
Cheryl seconded. All in favor?
Peace, peace.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
You're welcome.